Good morning, everyone. Very nice to see all of you today. So, dear Director General of PlanUp, dear Paolo, dear Presidents of the Economic and Social Council, the Public Finance Council, the National Council of Environment and Sustainable Development, dear Commissaire Général de France Stratégie, cher Gilles, distinguished speakers and participants, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, I'm very honored to be here today to the opening of this conference, which really marks the first anniversary of PlanUp. And in fact, the main theme that we are discussing today, reinforcing trust in institutions and democracies, is not only very close to my heart, but very close to the heart of the 38 member countries of the OECD that will be taking this theme forward in the months to come. We opened this topic with the 38 members some months ago, and they will have a ministerial at the end of the year to take an action plan forward for the future for the 38 members. Obviously, I mean, as the theme of today shows, the future of public governance, the future of good public administration, and more importantly of our democracies, cannot be dissociated from the need to reinforce trust in public institutions. The COVID-19 crisis was really a wake-up call for restoring trust. But in recent years, democratic institutions have gone through major waves of threats, through challenges as diverse as, the proliferation of mis and disinformation, declining participation and inequalities in public life, low levels of trust in government abilities to fight or to respond to global challenges such as, of course, climate change. And even some difficulties also, although governments have been quite successful in the management of the COVID crisis in our countries, some difficulties in maintaining trust over the crisis. So all these challenges are really the core pillars of the Reinforcing Democracy initiative that the 38 member countries of the OECD, including Portugal, obviously, will be looking at in the months to come. Trust really plays a very key role in public governance and democracy. It really reduces transaction costs when implementing policies. It helps also ensure compliance with public policies, and we saw that very clearly, with masks and vaccines recently. Trust also nurtures political participation, which is very important, strengthens social cohesion, and also builds legitimacy to the system as a whole. Looking forward, obviously, trust is also crucial to build public support for challenging reforms to address intergenerational inequalities. But also very important, it will be very important to put in place the reforms for climate change and also for fiscal sustainability, all big reforms that are coming up in all our countries. In November 2021, we carried out a survey on the drivers of trust in public institutions in 22 of our countries. 22 very brave countries, I would say, to put themselves, under the examination of the public on what drives trust in public institutions. This includes Portugal. So, first of all, congratulations on Portugal for taking that forward, along with 21 other countries. But I think the results will be very interesting. I cannot yet share the full results because it will be launched at the end of June. But I'm very happy to share with you some of the lessons learned for the collectivity of OECD countries. So very interestingly, citizens are relatively confident, and again here I'm talking about the 22 countries on average, are relatively confident about the services that they are getting from government, relatively confident about the quality of health systems, about the quality of the services they are getting on education. They are confident that the data that they give to their governments will be used for the right purposes. They are also quite confident on average that their governments will be ready for the next pandemic or for the next crisis. So what we are saying is, they are confident that their governments are governing in our advanced, developed and sustainable democracies. But still, the results on do you trust your national government or do you trust your government as a general question remain quite low overall for the OECD. So we're looking at really where is the disconnect coming from? And very clearly, the results of the survey are very clear. The disconnect is coming from the fact that citizens feel that their government is not representing them well, that their capacity to participate in decision-making is limited, and that their government is not necessarily responsive either to citizens' feedback or customer surveys, is not innovative enough with new technologies that are coming up, etc. So that is a really, really important results for all our governments. Few people, expect that institutions will adopt the views expressed in public consultations or think that their complaints on public services or policies would be heard. So all of these are really important. There's also very clearly the fact that citizens are pretty skeptical about the levels of integrity in government, either of policymakers or even civil servants, which to me was even more worrying. So all these results, should give us a pause, should make us think, reflect on how we want to deliver services in the future, how we want to make policies, what are the big challenges so that we can continue to reinforce our democracies. And I did all this detour also to mention that this type of result of the surveys that we are doing show the need for an institution such as PlanUp. It is through institutions like that, through what we call them COG at the OECD, Centers of Government, through institutions in the centers of government that countries are able now to look at challenges such as that one, such as low trust, such as how to reinforce democracy, and many others. This is why we have very gladly accepted to help Portugal with PlanUp, setting up, effective policy development mechanisms, better strategic planning, better strategic decision-making processes to enable the government to face some of its challenges and priorities that will be very important to face the current challenges. And this is especially important as we know that there is room for improvement. There is room for improvement in every OECD country. There is room for improvement in Portugal as well. Portugal ranks in the middle third in EU 27 comparisons on government effectiveness. The recent economic survey of Portugal highlights that the crisis, the COVID crisis, is also likely to lead to some additional long-term challenges, including increased poverty and inequality. Ensuring, obviously, an inclusive recovery will require strengthening health and labour market policies. Policy action is also needed to tackle new financial and fiscal risks, but also the right governance in place to address long-term intergenerational challenges. And obviously a swift and effective implementation of the Recovery and Resilience Plan, RRP, will help address some of these challenges. The recent parliamentary elections in Portugal also remind us of the importance of a democratic process to respond to crucial national and global challenges, particularly, obviously, the international context we live in today. And we should always remember that, governments are elected based on a program that highlights key priorities and reforms, and setting up and implementing these strategic objectives that are consistent with the electoral mandate given to government by voters is also crucial for reinforcing democracies. We now call that political integrity at the OECD. We call that political integrity. So ensuring these commitments are fulfilled really requires a robust, transparent, and coherent institutional setting that is more often than not located in the center of government to be able to steer those policies to their implementation. So in most OECD countries, centers of government play really a crucial role in coordinating and overseeing high-level priority setting and strategic alignment across the government. In more than half of the cases in our countries, more than 19 countries, units located in centers of governments help identify and define government priorities and setting a strategic policy agenda. And obviously, since COVID-19, the role of center of government has strengthened in all our OECD countries, and we have seen governments invest in more resources in the center of government to be able to steer their country through the crisis. And this is probably a lesson that they are also learning to address the big challenges coming ahead, and notably climate change. While we have started with this collaboration, obviously with PlanUp, we also just finished a project with Jurisap, another competence center, where we have also concluded on the great value added of Jurisap for the administration, and also concluded with them on further work to support its future development. We're also working, in other areas also of governments on regulatory aspects and licensing permits in the environment sector, and there is more. We're also working with the Tribunal de Contas on a cutting-edge project on how to make use of new technologies and artificial intelligence to monitor public procurement activities. And we also have a civic space scan of Portugal, which is also ongoing and whose results I think will be shared in a year's time. So great collaboration with Portugal, and we also consider, Portugal as one of our leading champion countries in terms of fast modernization, swift modernization of the administration, and we're very, very happy to see all those developments. So our new collaboration aims with PlanUp, aims to really assess and help PlanUp strengthen the critical strategic planning function, which is so important in all OECD countries now, and the processes to support broadly Portugal to better define, implement, and deliver its priorities effectively and coherently. So until the beginning of 2023, we will be advancing together several strategic priority dimensions for PlanUp, and also, for the whole of government of Portugal, including work on trust and transparency. I've just mentioned, this exercise with other countries, evaluation of public policies, very important for the government to move forward as well, strategic foresight, which is something that is very much also in development in all our countries, and the reinforcement of the role of centers of government on policy making, coordination, strategic planning, knowledge management, and communication. Of course, it's a multidisciplinary approach that is by no means a simple task, either for the OECD in its advisory position, but also for any of our member countries. It requires real agility by PlanUp and cooperation with its partners, out-of-the-box thinking also, and empathy. But I'm also very, very positive about how this collaboration has moved forward already, and I'm very much looking forward to really great results on this project. Of course, once we work with PlanUp, we will bring with us the lessons that we learn from our member countries in the other 37 countries in how they have worked to reinforce their institutional settings and capacities in the centers of government to deliver on all the commitments, with such big changes coming up and such big challenges such as climate. We will already have the opportunity, and Paolo has already mentioned that, to further present and discuss some of these lessons learned from other countries today. And again, many thanks to both Gilles and to Elliot that will bring already lessons learned from other countries. Just to finish, the results I mentioned about the trust survey should make us all very humble about how governments are functioning in our OECD countries and how fundamental it will be to improve its capacity to improve the trust of citizens in public administration. We really congratulate Portugal on taking this survey, on also building CLANAP in the future. That will be really a core competency that will be very, very fundamental for Portugal in the future. And with that, I thank you very, very much.